So welcome to another episode of A Critic's Journey, and the film I'm taking a look at today is a film that I'd been meaning to watch for a long time. That film is Tom Cruise and Brian Brown's Cocktail. Now, I'm pretty sure I saw Cocktail when I was a kid. I know that there was a VHS copy of it in our household when I was growing up, and given I was only 9 years old when this film came out, so I probably watched it years and years ago and completely forgot about it. Now, I know there's a lot of people out there who are probably thinking, I can't believe you hadn't watched Cocktail in later years, because I am an absolutely massive Tom Cruise fan. Tom Cruise is probably one of the reasons why I got into films in the first place. When I was a kid, I absolutely adored Days of Thunder, and I absolutely adored Top Gun, and I know there's probably a lot of people out there going, don't think he should have been watching those movies when he was a kid, but yeah, I did watch them when I was a kid, and I have been a fan of Tom Cruise ever since. Now, Cocktail, to me, has always been one of those kind of white whale films. I've always meant to sit down and watch it. Never actually got around to doing it when I was older. Like I said, I'm pretty sure I watched it when I was a kid, and I probably kind of just brushed it off. I think I would have watched it when I fell in love with Rain Man. Rain Man was another Tom Cruise film that I absolutely adored when I was a kid, so I probably would have watched Cocktail back then as well, and just pushed it out of my mind. Now I've watched it again. I know why I probably pushed it out of my mind. I was expecting something absolutely brilliant from this film. I've spoken to people over the years who have said to me that, oh my goodness, Cocktail is a better romantic comedy than a film like Pretty Woman and things like that. And I'm not a big fan of films like Pretty Woman, I have to admit. I kind of watch them occasionally and just go, yeah, okay. And I think Cocktail ends up in that bin for me as well. That kind of movie where I've watched it and gone, okay. I should also preface that I'm a huge Beach Boys fan. The most I've ever paid for a concert ticket was to go and see the Beach Boys, because I was convinced that was going to be the last time they were ever going to tour Australia, and I was right. And because it's got the track Kokomo in it, it was always one of those films I was kind of like, yeah, I should watch that at some stage. Now I've watched it, I've got to say, I'm kind of disappointed. I think I was expecting a great film, and that isn't what I got. It's kind of a strange film. Like, if I had to start talking about films about bars and bartendering, I would probably say that Coyote Ugly is a more enjoyable film to me than Cocktail. I just found Cocktail to kind of be a little bit of a nothing film. Like, I kept on waiting for something big to happen in the film, and it didn't happen. Like, there's a great twist in there with the Brian Brown character, and the friendship that he has with Tom Cruise. And I should say, like, that their character names are Brian, that's Tom Cruise's character, and Doug, that's Brian Brown's character. And I kept on expecting something really big to happen, but then the thing that happened, I didn't think it was that big, but it I suppose it was supposed to be. So it kind of really surprised me that this was just such a smooth kind of romantic comedy, where it's about two bartenders. They have a dream to run their own bar. Something goes skew-whiff. The next minute, Tom Cruise is working in Jamaica, meets a girl called Jordan, played by Elizabeth Shue. He likes her, but yeah, stuff happens. I don't want to say too much and spoil it for you if you haven't seen Cocktail, but I kept on expecting something really, really big to happen, and it didn't feel like it ever happened. Now, there's some really interesting facts about this movie, and that is that when they first put this film together, Robin Williams was supposed to play Doug, not Brian Brown, and I kept on thinking, how would that have worked? Because I'm not sure. Brian Brown's character doesn't really go for comedic effect, and I know that Robin Williams was really able to do some serious roles, but I kind of think that this would have been an almost nothing role for him. Like, I know for a lot of people who talk about Cocktail, they talk about the fact that this was Brian Brown's kind of big break in America. And I guess that gives some flair to the role, because as an Australian, you're kind of like, yeah, that's the role that Brian Brown kind of broke out in America. Robin Williams had already broken out in America, and he was American, so I can't see that kind of role getting the same flair. Charlie Sheen was apparently one of the people that they were thinking about getting to play the Tom Cruise character, or Jim Carrey, funnily enough. Again, I don't think it would have been the right vehicle for Jim Carrey, because there's just not enough comedy in there. I could probably see Charlie Sheen fitting into the role kind of well, but like, even for me watching this movie now, I think it's almost like a little bit of a nothing role for Tom Cruise. And I know he was an actor on the rise back then and probably wanted to make these kind of movies to get his name out there. But yeah, to me it felt like a kind of nothing film. Like, I'm glad that the Beach Boys got something out of this film, because for me it feels like there's not much else there with this movie. Going and having a look at the director as well, which was an Australian director, Roger Donaldson. He's had an interesting career over the journey as well. Of course, he's worked on films like The Recruit, 13 Days, Dante's Peak. Species is probably the film of his that I most kind of recognize, because I loved that film as well when I was growing up. So, but yeah, he's kind of had a very interesting career. Like, he did movies like Cadillac Man and things like that. People would probably say that Cocktail is almost his pinnacle, which kind of seems a little bit sad, because to me it was such a kind of disappointing movie for me. So look, if you're on some kind of Tom Cruise binge watch and you're watching all of Tom Cruise's movies, then of course you're going to watch Cocktail. But seriously, I think there is a lot more better romantic dramas or romantic comedies out there to watch rather than Cocktail. I know it was a film that I've been meaning to watch for a long time, but to me it was just a little bit of a disappointment of a film. It was kind of felt like a little bit of a nothing film. Certainly not one of the highlights of Tom Cruise's career, and certainly not one of the highlights of Brian Brown's career. So yeah, probably only watch this one if you kind of want to go back and watch almost like a classic film, or if you want to watch all of Tom Cruise's movies back to back or something like that. But it's not a movie to go out of the way to watch. I kind of understand now why so many people call this a good, bad movie. I don't think you ever sit there and get completely bored when you're watching Cocktail, but you certainly don't sit there going, this is a movie that I need to watch over and over. So, yeah, I guess it's kind of considered a classic, but a little bit of a disappointment for me. I'm only going to give this one 2.5 out of 5. I'll be back very, very soon with another episode of A Critic's Journey. I've been watching a lot of movies that I grew up watching recently, so there'll be a few more episodes dropping very, very soon. But for now, for Cocktail, 2.5 out of 5. Only kind of watch it if you're kind of on that classic movie binge kind of thing.